Being strong Indigenous representatives, we love you. Always was and always will be. You need to be much louder than that. Always was and always will be. Always was and always will be.
No, she was talking about the conveyor, not the signs.
I think something may be misidentified.
Testing. Sorry, crew, just ladies and gentlemen, everyone attending, just a quick request. Can we please make sure that this area over here where the Palestinian flag and just a little bit around this area is available for our community, our deaf community that need our support and want to be as part of this rally as much as possible. So if we can relay and have that space for them, that would be amazing. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome again. Good to see you all on another Sunday. Woo! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! So I just want to start with an acknowledgement
of country, I want to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Always was, always will be. Always was, always will be. And while we're doing the acknowledgement, I just want to bring your attention to the fact that today is actually Pink for Tanya Day. And that's why I'm wearing the Tanya Day t-shirt and this pink ribbon. So I want to read to you the announcement of that from Auntie Tanya Day's family. Pink for Tanya was founded by Alera Day in memory of her nan, our mother, Tanya Louise Day, a proud Yorta woman who died in custody, in police custody in 2017. Pink was Mum's favorite color, and this tribute was created to honor her life and legacy on her birthday. By wearing pink, we celebrate her with love, remembrance, and solidarity. This year marks the 5th year we've held the Pink for Tanya campaign, continuing to keep her memory alive and raising awareness about Aboriginal deaths in custody. Mum was deeply proud of her culture and family. She was dearly loved by her community and remained the epitome of resilience, strength, and love despite her hardships. She will be forever missed by her children, grannies, and family, who will continue to hold her close to our hearts. Pink for Tanya continues to highlight the strength and resilience of Aboriginal women like Mum, emphasizing the importance of their lives and safety in a society where they are too often overlooked. Wearing pink not only honors her memory, but also symbolizes the broader fight for justice and accountability within our communities and deaths custody. Thank you. So it's important for us to remember this and for us to continue to contribute to the struggle against deaths in custody and the struggle for Indigenous justice. Today, at this rally, which is happening on the occasion of land forces being hosted here in Victoria and Melbourne for the first time, we're joined by 2 Indigenous elders who have come down from the Anjan, from Brisbane, to join us as part of the mobilisation of Disrupt. And I want to introduce the first elder who's with us today, Uncle Wayne Coco. Uncle Coco is a Cooma Murray and long-time Aboriginal activist. Please make him welcome.
Paying respects to everybody here this morning, particularly Uncle Robbie Thorpe. Robbie and I have been through a number of campaigns together over a lot of time, and you know, he's made a special effort to be here this morning with us. And then Megan from WA and Glenda from the embassies and most of New South Wales, who keeps the fire burning all the time. And paying respects to the Greens person that's here, and all of you people. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. To the Wurundjeri people, you know, thank you for being here. It's our law. It's a law. I was unsure about what I could share with you this morning, what we could talk about. And I left my pink shirt in the bag at home today, but it was looking at me, and but I left it there. but I'll go around and put it on after lunch. But I guess this time and where we're at in around the world, there's a global exercise that's going on. It's not happening. We see what's happening in Palestine. We don't see what's happening in the Congo. We don't see what's happening in South Sudan. We don't see what's happening in Venezuela. We don't see what's happening in Tahiti. We don't see what's happening in the West Indies. And we're not seeing what's happening in New Caledonia, 15,000 kilometres off the coast of Australia. What we've got to do is open our fucking eyes. The two-party preferred system in the world that we know it, that they try to pass off as democracy, is fucking capitalism. Capitalism born out of imperialism, born out of capturing and disempowering our people of our land, our rights and our future. We have to take this opportunity. This place in time around the world is a change. It's a change driven by you, by your children, by the discussions that you have at your dinner table, the discussions you have at your smoko table, the discussions you have in your classroom. This is change. The ideals born out of imperialism and capitalism to suppress our various peoples throughout the world is coming to be answered. It's a time to be answered. It's a time of reckoning. It's a time of balancing the books. What was stolen will be returned. What was stolen will be returned. People make this happen. We make it happen. Whether it's in South Sudan, whether it's in the Congo, whether it's in Chicago in America, whether it's in Louisiana, whether it's in New York, we make this happen. To see the commitment from the young people turning up here in Melbourne, in Brisbane, in Perth, in London, in Ireland, in many parts of the world, that is change. These people that invented these systems, these legal systems that uphold their privilege and maintain their place in society, have to be taken down. And when they're taken, and they're taken down, it's up to you, the young people, to replace that system with that something that is just, that is truthful, and that is meaningful. These jacks, the coppers here, they're put here by a system to put the shits up you guys and make you silent. These are the systems that you have to replace. You have to replace them. How you replace them is what you're doing here today. Unifying, coming together, identifying the goals and objectives that you want your kids to grow up with. How we do this takes time, takes patience, and takes a lot of understanding and a lot of groundwork on the ground. What you have taken up from day one, from October 7 to now, we have to translate. We have to translate into a tool that pulls these systems down. You have to translate that energy into a tool that pulls them down and replaces it. Whether that tool is at the local government level, whether it's at the state level, whether it's at the federal level, they have to be fucking replaced. When the opportunity comes up in these things to change it, take the opportunity to change it. Talk to the people in the community, get them to vote. Fuck the two-party preferred model off. Fuck it off. No more Labor, no more Liberals. Get your independents to the table. Use your vote, get your independents to the table. Everything else is just pissing in the wind. Everything else is just pissing in the wind and prophetizing and perpetuating the privilege that hold the privilege in these communities under their systems. We, First Nations people here, we woke up to the bullshit that was given to us in the last referendum, and we are so sorry if you got caught up in voting fucking yes, because it was the biggest bullshit con artist separation of our rights ever. We kept the door open, and we're grateful for every other person that voted no and kept the door open and kept us out of their fucking constitution. Thank you for our freedom. When we talk about the freedom around the world of all the other countries, don't go past us. Don't go past us. I'm not, and my children are not Australians, and we will never be Australian. Maybe one day when those systems are changed and things are set right and a new constitution and a new government's put in place in this country, we may choose to be a part of that system. A system that reflects the values of people that are here today. A system that's based on human rights, not capitalism.
Or nationalism.
There's enough young people around this country that can come up with models and different procedures that look after how we run this country. I trust in those young people. I'll fight for the opportunity for those young people to put those ideals and those ideas into place in a country that you can be proud of. Right now, whilst it's all going on, the French governments around the world are not innocent in this whole fucking process. Whether it's the Congo, or whether it's a little place over here in the Pacific that some of you might have went and had a holiday at, called New Caledonia. New Caledonia, since the 13th of May, 14 young blokes have been shot on what their barricades by the French. 7,000 troops from France and 100 tanks were flown into New Caledonia in the last 2 months. 2,000 people have been arrested, another 10 each day. 40 have been sent to France, and no one's given a fuck about them. No one talks about them. Murdoch doesn't talk about them. The Australian government don't talk about them. No one's talking about what's happening in Kanaki. When we're here, the people that are here for the weapons stuff this week, and you know, it should be every one of our goals and opportunities to curtail the development of weapons and the weapons industries around the world. I just want to bring a home truth to you, those people that are here. Those orchids, the deals on the submarine was done between Albanese and the French government. The base for those submarines is going to be Kanaki. A community of 100,000 people that don't know shit about nuclear waste, don't know shit about deep sea mining, but have the will to live peacefully in their own country. We live in a great time. We live in a time where every one of you had fled some sort of war, some sort of violence, and came here to this country and found some degree of peace. In my people, we have a saying, is that we can't sit down and eat in front of somebody that has nothing to eat. It's against our law. So whatever you fled, whatever your fathers fled, your uncles, whatever they brought to this country to come and find safety, that same will should be shared, and the opportunity to help those people that couldn't get out of their countries is our goal. Whether it be the remnants of the 700 convicts they brought here to escape the feudal system in London, in Brixton, in the 1700s, or it's the West Papuan that jumped on a ship and snuck his way here so he wouldn't get shot by an Indonesian soldier. Our freedoms are their freedoms. Our law is their law. Our mission is to set them free. Free Palestine, free Kanaki, free Congo, free West Papua, and free the blackfellas here. Liberate Australia! Liberate us here! We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of communication to do. But fuck the two-party system. Fuck it off. Get it out of here. Get your independents elected at local government, at state government, and at federal. Fuck their system up. Fuck it up.
Thank you, Uncle Coco. One more time for Uncle Coco.
We have a saying within our movement, here's my hand, here's my heart.
Always was and always will be. Aboriginal land. This is exactly the struggle that we need to fight. Whether it's here on this land or in Palestine, these struggles are connected. And it is important that we fight for all of them. And that importance requires unity and coming together from every part of the world, whether it's the Aboriginals here, whether it's the Palestinians, or whether it's the refugees. They're all issues that need to be addressed at the root cause, and that's what we're fighting for. Our next speaker, we've got two speakers, Megan Cracker. She's a Minang woman of the Noongar Nation. Megan is an activist, a social justice advocate, an arbitrator for the voiceless and law reformer. Megan is the director of the National Suicide Prevention and Trauma Recovery Project and the chair of the Southwest Aboriginal Land and Sea Council, and holds a bachelor degree from the Deakin University. And then we also have Winda Stanley from the Aboriginal Tent Embassy. Welcome to the stage.
Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Wadri people of the Kulin Nation. Great strength to be here. Beautiful to see Uncle Robbie Thorpe, who is a well-known activist right across the country. He fights for the rights of many, and he doesn't say no. He fights for the oppression of our people. It's indeed an honour to be here, to speak with you, to hear you, to listen to you, to be with you in solidarity. The genocides that are being perpetrated across the world is absolutely harrowing. Since this all started, over 42,000 people have died. 42,000 people have died. And this government in this country, they are allowing this to occur by not intervening, by not supporting the Palestinian movement. We are brothers and sisters of the human family. One thing for certain, brothers and sisters of the human family. But to seeing the killings, the mass destructions, the destructions of universities, the destruction of the way of life, the cultural way of life, is extremely upsetting for our people right across the country and in fact across the world. When I hear and I see a little baby that is no longer here because they were killed, it breaks the hearts and souls of many, but it does not break the hearts and the souls of the Australian government, the Labor Party. Among the G20, 9 countries have recognised Palestine as a state. 10 haven't, and one of those is Australia. The government, they have turned a blind eye. They are not listening. They are not hearing the cries of the people across this country. They are not hearing the cries of the people across the world. They've turned a blind eye to the Israelites' apartheid, the illegal obligations, and that is cruel, that is heinous, and it is wrong in every sense. I stand here as a black woman of this country, as a sister to you all. What is happening in Australia in terms of my people, our people, the First Nations people, the people of this country, it is genocide. The prisons, the suicides, the amount of times that we have to continue to beg to this government for what is right, it is cruel. We have the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody, and over 550 people have died in these prisons, in these custodial settings, right across this nation. No one has been held accountable. In Western Australia, where I come from, we have Banksy Hill Detention Centre. 2 people, 2 young children, 16, 17, have died in the last 10 months. We've had 10,000 children that have gone through Banksy Hill, but under the Labor government in Western Australia, they have not condoned these acts. They are absolutely committing atrocities and genocide against our First Nations people. It makes me really sad to see at the 48th week of rallies, of protests right across the country that we're still here fighting for what is right, fighting to end the injustices, fighting for the Palestinian movement, fighting for brothers and sisters across this world to have a better life. We are not put on this earth to bury our children, but too often we do. And that is because of the governments that continue to idle by, to be silent and not take a stand. The government's right now, the human rights violations that are being perpetrated perpetrated that are being committed, not only in Western Australia, but indeed across this country, and indeed with the Palestinian movement. It is absolutely woeful. I want to acknowledge all our brothers and sisters here today. I want to acknowledge all of you here today. We all have a story, we all have a journey, but we must need to stand up and do what is right. Keep speaking, keep talking, and the elections are coming up. The federal elections are coming up. We can't continue to have a Labor government that chooses not to hear, not to listen, but to ignore the plies of the people across this country. So when you go to the polling booth, be careful where you place your vote. Kick Labor out. Let's make sure that there's more independence. Let's make sure that there's more Greens. Because enough is enough, and we must stand together, be heard, in solidarity, in strength and in numbers. Love and respect.
Yana, my name is Gwenda Stanley. I'm a representative of the Aboriginal 10 Embassy. We're standing today in solidarity with you fellas, the Palestinian people. As Megan's church says, 236 years of unfinished business in this country. When they could no longer send their prisoners to America, they then decided to make Australia a prisoner island. 236 years, our people have suffered at the hands of democracy of this so-called country, Australia. The genocide still continues in this country. We still live on our mission stations and reserves. So we feel your pain, we feel your anger, we feel your hurt. But together we are strong, and strong together in numbers. And this is what frightens the Australian government, is that we stand united against the genocide worldwide, and especially what's happening in Palestine. They came to this country with a Bible in one hand and a sword in other. And I pray to God that their God forgives them, because we ain't. We talk about liberation, restitution. Fuck reconciliation. We've been reconciled for 236 years. We need action, and action starts with restitution. It starts with justice. People being accountable for holding and being accountable for the genocide in which they perpetrate against us as Aboriginal people in this country, just like they are doing worldwide. As Wayne has mentioned, we stand here with our hand and our heart, but we also opened our homelands for you people. Unfortunately, our homelands have now become real estate for the capitalism. Unlike over in Palestine, they're killing your people with guns, weapons of mass destruction. Here, they are using state-sanctioned legislation. And if that pen is mightier than the sword, that pen is actually working through their state-sanctioned legislation. And that is why we say no to their so-called being recognised. What's there to be recognised? We have been here since the time of memorial. The Aboriginal 10 Embassy needs your support. We are still living in tents. That's that little building you see across the road. Not a building, sorry. What you see across the road from Old Parliament House. Established in 1972. We are still there and still living in tents. We are called radicals, we are called activists, we are called troublemakers, but I'll live up to that name because someone needs to do it. And we're here to remind that government that we aren't going anywhere. Our love to the mob and to everyone across the country and especially in Palestine. We hear you, we see you, and we mourn with you. Elections are coming. As we said, we don't want a two-tier system. They talk about a republic, but that's not going to help our people as well. What we need to see is action, and that action starts with restitution. And we also need liberation, and that liberation starts with each and every one of us here today and right across the country and right around the world to show your unified solidarity and stand with us. For we are still living on the unceded land of stolen wealth, and that's the stolen land. They've talked about stolen children, they've talked about stolen wages, but they still ignore the fact of the stolen land. So we hear you, we see you, we feel you. Support the Aboriginal 10 Embassy and we will support you.
Liberation now! Liberation now! Liberation now! Liberation now! Land back now! Land back now! Land back now! Land back now! So, just an announcement. We have the children here. They want to tell you all that the Solidarity Cup for Palestine is next Saturday, so make sure you're there. Woo! And this initiative is what is driving the movement at the moment. It's the children, it's the families, it's the communities, it's the western suburbs, it's the northern suburbs, it's all of you. That's who makes up this movement. And this is why this movement has been able to protest non-stop for 11 months. We are marking 11 months of the Gaza genocide. And that is very heavy on all of us, but mostly on the people of Gaza, my family that is in Gaza, who have been surviving, living under the bombs, displaced, moving from place to place where there is no safety and where there doesn't seem to be an end to the bombardment. And as our Indigenous elders have told us today, this is all connected, because when we're protesting here on this continent, it is because the system that we live under, the Australian government and the Australian system, is embedded in this war. It's part of the Western imperialist system, and it is deeply tied to what US interests have favored and to the protection of the state of Israel. That is why we continue to protest, because we are here in a country that stands with Israel. We are part of that alliance that gives support to Zionism, whether it's in the politics, in parliament, whether that is on the media, and of course these corporations. And this week we will see that absurdity that we all refuse. None of us gave any consent to this. None of us agreed to be hosting land forces here in the city. However, it is the Victorian government that decided to fund weapons. It is the Victorian government with the Australian government that have decided to re-gear the economy to be profiting from death, from genocide, and to be investing more and more in the war industry, with arms companies that are going to be coming here to sign more deals. Albert Systems, Israel's largest weapons manufacturer, is going to be here. Hanwha, which is a South Korean company, the Australian government has awarded them with Albert Systems that under this new memorandum of understanding that you're all familiar with, to be building more weapons as part of what they call Australian defence. But what is Australian defence? That is why we need to make those connections with the Indigenous struggle here. Because on stolen land, we have seen the Australian government acting with white sovereignty, with white capitalist interests to build up the war. But who is the Australian government going to go to war with? We know from history that the Australian government has gone to war with the Indigenous people of this country. And the Australian government has been arming the police, has been arming the borders, has been militarizing the borders to keep refugees out and to keep oppressed groups repressed, such as the migrants here who can go on strike, such as the working people who can go on strike and who can create the systemic change that Uncle Coco talked about. Australia has a lot of power in the region, in the Asia Pacific, and that is why we are hosting land forces. So this is all connected, and when we're here for Palestine, it does not make sense to only talk about Palestine as though the Australian government is not part of this. Labor wants us to talk about it as a foreign war, and Labor keeps repeating over and over that they have nothing to do with this, that this is a war that Israel is waging, and that all they can do is just continue to call for the upholding of international law. Well, the facts on the ground speak differently. The facts on the ground are that the Labor government is hosting land forces and making new deals, and we will only hear about those deals in a matter of months or a matter of years, but those deals will be made here this week, and that is why it is really important that all of you get involved in this mobilization against weapons manufacturing here on this continent. When I say all of you involved in these weapons campaigns, the pickets, the mobilization this week, I mean all of us, the children, the teachers that come out here every single week, they have a campaign against weapons in schools, because actually the weapons companies, if you know the way they work in modern day, they sponsor a lot of the STEM programs in schools. Of course, I'm NTU, I work at university, and as we know, the students and the encampments, they have been protesting against the weapons ties that are funded by universities, and many of you who are part of the public sector workers, you've been invited to be part of land forces as part of your job. You as people who are public servants, etc. But if you work in construction, you've also been asked to build these weapons facilities and to work at these weapons facilities. So it is all of us who are being invited to be part of this funding for genocide and funding for war. And shame. And to speak on that, we have the Victorian Greens leader with us today, Ellen, and Ellen is the state representative of Melbourne. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Nam. I'd also like to acknowledge we're standing here on stolen land, on the land of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and pay my respects to elders past and present. And thank you to the staunch aunties and uncles for sharing your words and for your activism here today. This is unceded land, and we still do not have a treaty here in Australia. But First Nations mob here in Victoria are about to embark on treaties right here. So learn about it. Learn about what's about to happen with treaties here in Victoria, and support the First Nations mob who are going into battle for treaties right here in Naarm.
Appointed by government!
Thank you for continuing to show up week after week for 337 days. My name's Ellen Sandel. I'm the leader of the Greens here in Victoria and the member for Melbourne, Naarm. But I'm not just the leader of the Greens, I'm also a mum to 3 beautiful children aged 2, 5 and 7. And as a mum, I have watched for 337 days the horror and the atrocities unfolding in Gaza and across Palestine. And I have watched children the same age as my children bombed, shot, starved. And I cannot unsee these horrors. I also cannot stand by without doing everything possibly in my power to bring every bit of pressure to bear on the state of Israel, who have perpetrated these atrocities on the people of Palestine. And to bring every bit of pressure to bear on the governments, including the Labor governments here in Victoria and federally, who are helping Israel in perpetrating these atrocities. And when the Greens bring this up in our Parliament on Spring Street, Labor says it's got nothing to do with us. What could we possibly do? There are three ways that the Victorian Labor government are continuing to help the state of Israel. One, back in October last year, as Israel was moving into Gaza, the Labor government put forward a motion for our Parliament to say that they stand with Israel, and the Greens were the only ones to vote against it. Two, the Labor government here in Victoria has signed a secret MOU with the Israeli Ministry of Defence and given taxpayer money to Elbit Systems, Israel's largest weapons manufacturer. And three, this week, the Labor government in Victoria is the major sponsor of the Land Forces Weapons Expo that is happening right here in Melbourne. And when the Greens, my colleagues and I, stood up in Parliament last week to demand that Labor cancel Land Forces, I got kicked out of Parliament. There is something incredibly wrong when all of the resources of the state of Victoria, police, taxpayer money, even military helicopters are being used to escort tanks down the streets of Melbourne into the convention centre for a weapons expo to make profit for multinational weapons corporations who are fueling genocide in Palestine. There is something deeply, deeply wrong when our state government is supporting a weapons expo here in our state. But I know that Melbourne Naarm is not a place that supports profit from war. We are a place of peace. And I know that thousands and thousands of people here in Melbourne will turn out in the streets over the next week to say, no, we do not support a weapons expo being held in our peaceful city. Just as you have turned out every week for the last 337 days, I know that Melbourne will turn out to resist, to protest, to say no to genocide, no to profiteering from war and atrocities happening in Palestine or anywhere else in the world. And my message to the Victorian Labor government, my message to the Victorian Labor government right here is, look at this crowd. Take a leaf out of the book of everyone who is standing in this crowd. Cancel the Land Forces Weapons Expo. Stand up and be on the right side of history. Stand up and say that you're against genocide, and you will not stand by and continue to support the state of Israel in their genocide. Thank you for continuing to show up, beautiful Naarm, and for everyone who is planning to resist and protest over the next week, look after yourselves and look after each other, because those of us who fundamentally believe in peace and non-violence, we need to stick together. We need to look after each other. Thank you, beautiful Nam.
Thank you, Ellen. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Yes, we will continue to turn up week after week, day after day, participate wherever we can these actions to send this message that we will not stop until these struggles are resolved and until this unjust system is removed. And part of that struggle and part of that action is what's happening in universities around the country, and no one is a better activist than our next speaker, Renee Naif. She's a Lebanese student activist and convener of students of Palestine at Deakin University. Renee was the only student in the state to be suspended for organising the Gaza Solidarity Encampment, but has now defeated all these charges. Give a round of applause for that.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
So last time I was standing up here at one of these rallies, I had just been threatened with suspension or expulsion by Deakin University. I was targeted by them for being one of the organisers of the Gaza Solidarity Encampment and for protesting against their disgusting ties with weapons manufacturing companies. So a lot of things have happened at Deakin University since then. The first thing that happened was that they did suspend me. It made me the only student in the entire state to face serious discipline for protesting against this genocide. The next thing that happened was that I fought it for 4 months while I was dragged through disciplinary hearings and appeals. I won the right to a retrial, and in that, they were forced to revoke my suspension.
more and more sponsors are being given to the apartheid state of Israel. Shame! Where is the international justice? We are the ones who uphold international justice, and we will intervene. We will intervene to shut it down. 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 Woo! So to speak on that, we have Natalie. Natalie is a passionate advocate, writer, and creator from the Swana region. And Natalie has been mobilizing for Disrupt Land Forces as part of Disrupt Wars. Come up, Natalie. Woo!
Israel's latest iteration of the genocide in Palestine. Thank you for continuing to show support. Thank you for putting your bodies on the line. Thank you for showing up next week and the week after. And we're going to keep going until what? Until Palestine is free, until Israel is dead, until this colony falls, until the places that we call our governments are destroyed. There is so much that hasn't been said already. Honestly, I've been talking so much about this. We've been working about it for about 6-7 months. I can see you all standing up. I can see you ready to march. I ask you give me your attention for 2 minutes. Land Forces, you've heard that before. Land Forces is Australia's biggest weapons expo. It is coming to Melbourne on Wednesday. This is a place where we are calling it the one-stop genocide shop. This is a place where weapons CEOs are coming together with delegates from across the world, from Indonesia, from the Philippines, from Israel, to sell weapons to make million-dollar contracts with our government. Absolute shame. 11 months into the latest iteration of the genocide, and the Victorian government is spending millions of dollars to host a weapons expo. They are completely ignorant to anything that we have been saying. They are just refusing to listen to us. We continue to march, we continue to petition, we continue to lobby, and it's like we're fucking doing nothing. And so that's why we have decided to disrupt this expo. Woo! By disrupt, I mean we shut it down. By disrupt, I mean we make people uncomfortable. These delegates should not be able to go and make these contracts without feeling shit about themselves. They are absolutely causing genocide. They're making deals that's going to cause the death of millions of people. It's really quite incredible to look at all of you, and like, I'm gonna try not to get emotional, but honestly, I haven't been able to enter the city for about 4 months. I've had bail conditions because I was arrested a few months ago, and I haven't been able to enter the city until now. My case was proven and dismissed because they had fucking nothing against me. And they think that by arresting us and giving us bail conditions and restricting us from organizing that the movement is going to die. And it absolutely is not. This movement is not about me, it's not about any of us. This is your movement. And if my voice doesn't reach you any more than other voices will, and if we can't, then you need to raise out your voices. It is incredible to be back here again, and I cannot wait to see what next week is going to look like. Just before we held a media presser there where they were asking, oh, we had no idea this was happening. The media is not paying attention, but we're fucking forcing them to pay attention. We are forcing them to tell the truth. We're forcing them to talk about what is happening in this city.
And we can only do this by our numbers. We can do this by organizing effectively. We can do this by having conversations and being okay with disagreeing with each other, challenging political ideology, accepting differences in tactics, working together as one. I'm not going to talk anymore. Next week is going to be incredible. At 5 p.m. today, we're going to launch this 1 week of mobilizations, 1 week of resistance. We're going to launch it at Camp Sovereignty at 5 o'clock with Uncle Robbie Thorpe. We're going to have a fire there. We're going to have a spit roast. It's going to be beautiful. And then every day from Monday until Saturday, we have events planned. Get your phones out. Go to disruptloforces.org. Go on Instagram, literally anywhere online. Grab a flyer and come to these events and bring your normie friends. Bring your normie friends. This is not just about Palestine. This is not just about this genocide. If we allow this to happen there, we're allowing it here. Militarism starts right here at home. It starts with Vic Paul. It starts with Vic Paul basically mobilizing a tenth of their force to protect this expo. It starts with them having weapons and using anti-terrorism laws to constrain us. During this expo, it starts with deaths in custody, with child removals, with incarceration rates. So, this is the end of the speech, I promise. Are we ready to chant and march? Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down the occupation!
Down the occupation!
Up with liberation!
Up with liberation!
Down the occupation!
Down the occupation!
All right, let's go. We're starting this way.
Before we get moving, just a quick couple announcements. If you can help out at the front with carrying the flag, we need some people there. And we need some people to help out with the marshalling. Let's get moving. Free, free!